Hi class, this is Miss Waltner. Let's see, we are going to talk today about where to save. So you guys have lots of options. We've got cloud computing, the server, jump drives, flash drives, or thumb drives. All three of those names are accurate and represent these thingies. And then you've got your local hard drive, so either on a laptop or your desktop computer. So first I want to go through a little bit of history with you, just so that you know how we decided what to name these things. So we've got an old computer. This was back when, the computers were beige and bulky and as big as a table. And they really did not have any hard drive space, nowhere to save anything. So you would put in a floppy, which would run your program, and you'd be done. Or you would do some math, and you'd be done. Eventually, what they wanted to do was they wanted to save what they'd worked on and take it someplace else. So someone brilliant came up with the idea of a floppy drive for a storage space, which was great, except with only one floppy drive, there wasn't room or space, there was no storage space otherwise, to move something from floppy to something else. So they had named this first floppy Floppy Drive A, because computers are very logical and they need to be told what goes in what order. So the next one that they came out with was Floppy Drive B. And this was great. You could go from one to the other, transferring files from Floppy Drive A to Floppy Drive B, but there was still no hard drive. Okay, so there was no middle area where you could save something to permanently. Okay, so here's my more modern looking computer drawing. This is the outside of a computer, and I've kind of drawn this so that it should be more like looking onto the inside of a computer. Okay, so here would be our floppy drive A. Okay, some computers still have them. Our old Lab 1 computers did. And then there is space, usually for a second one floppy drive B, although we don't usually use those. So if we have a floppy these days, there's only one of them, floppy drive A. Floppy drive B has kind of gone by the wayside. So we had drive letter A, drive letter B. Hard drives, the local one, became drive letter C. And as you can see here, I've got space for a second hard drive there too. So local computers or desktop or tower computers usually have space for more than one hard drive, just in case. And as technology changes, we can add more stuff. So the next drive letter to come along was our CD-DVD drive. Okay, so we named that drive letter D. Okay, and there is space for more CD or DVD drives here. You could have multiple ones of those too. Okay, so these empty drives, and I forgot to mention the USB drives, they can be labeled any letter of the alphabet if those drives are present and the letter is available. Okay, so here we're back at our sort of modern looking computer that I drew. So we've got our floppy drive A, our local hard disk C, and our CD-DVD drive D. Now that's usually all that we have, like on our Lab 1 or Lab 2 computers. Those are usually the only drives that we have, free there all the time. And sometimes not even that floppy drive A is there. Sometimes we just have A, or sometimes just have C and D. So the next thing is USB flash drives will then take the next letters. So E, F, G, H, whatever one is the next letter to come up in the alphabet. The only caveat to this is that the computer can usually also see the server. And servers usually get drive letters like R and S. So those are way further down. So when you put in your jump drive, you're going to be looking for the next letter in the initial sequence, which sounds really complicated, but you're really just looking for E or F or G. If there's already an E, you look for F. If there's already an F, you look for G. All right, so recap. If you're saving to a laptop or desktop computer, you're saving it to the C drive or the local hard drive. Okay, so you can access your file on this computer and this computer only. For USB drives, flash drives, your file's only accessible on the device, but the device is mobile. Okay, so you can really take it anywhere. So that means you can access your file anywhere. Drive letters for flash drives are usually E, F, G. Said it before. Servers have a lot of storage space, mostly because they can be used as a data or file storage system for multiple computers. Okay, so think of OLG. We've got 25 computers in Lab 1 and 35 computers in Lab 2 alone. Okay, not to mention all the computers in the classrooms. All of those can save to our server. Okay, so a file saved on the server can be accessed from any computer that's networked with that server. So basically, if you save a file to the server in Lab 1, you can access it in Lab 2 or in Mr. Reese's room or in Mrs. Braun's room. Anywhere, literally anywhere in the school, okay, because those computers are networked with our server. Okay, again, servers usually have drive letters like R or S. So when you go to click on My Computer to see what drives are available, you're going to see C, the letter C for our local hard drive. You'll probably see D for a DVD drive, whether or not there's a disk in there or not. You might see E, F, or G if you have a USB drive plugged in. And then below that, you might see R or S for a server. The last one here is cloud storage, and you guys are probably actually already familiar with this. So it's basically where you upload your file to a host server. Okay, so Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive, iCloud, whatever. And there are lots more than that too. Okay, so cloud storage is accessible wherever there is an internet connection. Okay, the only other thing you really need is your username and password. And then some places you pay for and some you don't, but usually they always have like a file size limit. So you can put up to 10 gig of storage space in there, data in there, okay? Special issues. All of these actually have their own set of problems that come with them. So I'm going to go through those really quick. Okay, so for your local C drive, your data isn't always accessible. Okay, this is because you can't pick it up and move it someplace else. Okay, so I have a picture of a laptop here, but what if you're saving it to the Lab 1, row 1, computer 3 computer? You're not going to be able to pick that up and take it home with you. It's stuck on that computer. Okay, with the jump drive, again, your data might not always be accessible. We've seen where flash drives go bad, they break, you lose them. They're very small. Okay, so you might not have access to your data even though flash drives are very mobile. Stuff goes wrong. On a server, again, your data might not always be accessible. With OLG, our server is accessible when we have internet connection. So you can print when there's an internet connection. You can save files when the internet is working to the server. You can get your files back off the server when the internet is working. And then the other problem with that too is if you go home, your home computer isn't networked to our server. So you don't have access to it there either. Okay, so little wiggle room there. And on the cloud, Again, your data might not always be accessible. If you don't have your wireless working, you're not going to be able to go up to Dropbox to get it, or if you forget your password. Okay, there are problems with all of these, which is usually why it's a good idea to save in more than one place, just so you have an extra copy. And last thing here, wrap up, which I did a terrible job putting this slide on the page. I am not sure if I'm going to have an activity for you guys to do. Make sure you check below this video to see if I've put up an activity or not. Otherwise, go right to Typing Web and get started. Thanks, guys. See you later.